They said I crossed the line. But when I paused the body cam and pointed at the exact second the stop command echoed through the radio, the room fell silent, and so did internal affairs. I still remember the sweat under my vest. It wasn't from fear. Not then, at least. The suspect was pacing, wild-eyed, shirt ripped, blood from somewhere down his neck. I had my hands open, calm, my voice steady as I repeated, "We're not here to hurt you. Sit down." Dispatch was still buzzing in my ear, 3 other units en route, but he lunged, quick, animal-like, toward the kitchen drawer. I don't even remember drawing my baton. The body cam caught everything. The timestamp said 20:17:36 when he made that move. At 20:17:39, I shouted, "Stop!" He didn't. At 20:17:42, I brought him down. Leg sweep, not even a head hit. He yelled, "Sure, they always do," but he was alive, breathing, nothing broken. Back at the precinct, I filed everything. The use of force report, the command log with the stop order entered and logged. I attached the full body cam footage, including the moment I stepped into the house, announced myself, issued the command. Everything above board. Clean, by the book. So why was I being summoned to the senior office with the words, "You might want to bring your union rep"? I walked in. The senior detective, old school, creased shirt, badge glinting in fluorescent light, didn't even look up at first. He tapped his stylus against a printed prosecutor report. "Looks like we have a problem," he said. He turned the paper toward me, slowly, like peeling back a bandage. My name, in bold, circled, under the heading, Potential Excessive Force Review. I blinked. "You've seen the footage?" He nodded. "I have." "Then you know I shouted stop. You heard it. You saw the timestamp." He leaned back, eyes cold. "Yeah, but some people upstairs think you went too far. You know how it works, officer. Optics. Optics." That word always made my stomach turn. I'm a cop, not a PR puppet. I stood there silent for a beat, waiting for someone else to speak up, to say the obvious, that the command log backed me, that internal affairs would see I followed policy. But silence stretched out like static. Then I realized something. The room wasn't just silent. It was staged. There was an agenda here. "This isn't about the footage," I said quietly. "It's about making someone disappear quietly. Sacrifice a name before media smells it." The detective sighed. "District court will decide. But you might want to brace." I left the room with my jaw clenched and my mind already working through the evidence. The body cam timestamp, the audio, the logs. I wasn't going down for doing my job, not when I knew the truth was coded into every second of that footage. By midnight, I was home, pacing with my laptop open, headphones on, re-watching the moment from all angles, syncing the command log with the body cam. Then I caught it. The sound wave spike at 20:17:39, me yelling stop. The suspect's movement continued. It was undeniable, a clean defense. Unless someone was trying to make sure that spike never made it into the final report. I clicked into the metadata, and there it was. Someone had redacted the stop order in the transcript overlay. I froze. Now I knew this wasn't about judgment. It was about erasure, and I wasn't going to let that happen. Don't miss what internal affairs did next. You won't believe who requested the warning removal. I didn't sleep that night, the kind of no sleep where your chest tightens with every turn in bed, where silence doesn't feel peaceful. It feels like it's watching you. At 04:26, I gave up, poured coffee, bitter and burnt, and opened my laptop again. I wasn't looking for comfort. I was looking for inconsistencies. The body cam footage had a clear audio spike, a clean stop at exactly 20:17:39. That should have been part of the transcription overlay submitted to the district court and the prosecutor's office. But the version attached to the internal review? It was missing. Gone. Someone had submitted an edited version, one that erased the command, skewed the timeline, and painted me as reckless. I compared the original file to the one in the prosecutor report. And that's when I noticed the file signature mismatch. They weren't just different. They were from two entirely different exports. Someone had tampered with the evidence, and it wasn't me. I went straight to Internal Affairs at 07:55 sharp, not through channels, in person. I needed them to see I wasn't hiding. Captain Morales raised an eyebrow when I entered. "Officer Carver, you're early." "I need to show you something," I said, voice low and steady. "It's about the body cam footage from the Simons arrest." She motioned to her terminal. "Sit. You have 10 minutes. I plugged in my drive and queued both versions side by side, played them in sync. You could see the original Bodycam timestamp flash, with my voice echoing, "Stop," and then watch it disappear in the second version. Morales leaned forward. Her expression shifted from curiosity to concern, then to something sharper. "Where did you get the internal copy?" she asked. "It was attached to the use of force review summary," I replied. "I have access to my own report, don't I?" She didn't respond right away. Just watched the screen again, then hit pause. Her fingers hovered over her keyboard, hesitating. "This isn't a clerical error," she muttered. "This is surgical. Someone stripped the audio overlay and reprocessed the frame log. Only someone with district backend access could have done that." "Then we have a bigger problem," I said, "because that prosecutor report is based on a lie." She didn't argue. Instead, she picked up the phone. Within the hour, a digital forensics tech from the department was in her office, running hash checks. By 11:30 confirmation, the file had been altered, not just once, twice. The command log entry for the stop order had also been tampered with, a deliberate high-level redaction. At 14:12, the call came in. The district court's review team was requesting clarification on the use of force evaluation. They wanted to know why the initial warning had been issued and whether it was still active. "Still active?" I asked Morales, confused. She looked at her screen. "That's odd. The case ID shows a system request for warning removal, logged at 06:14 this morning." I blinked. "By who?" She turned the monitor toward me. The request came from a secure proxy. But the user ID? It traced back to someone I hadn't expected. The senior detective, the same one who told me to brace myself. The one who said, "Optics." I stood there in a fog of disbelief. Someone inside was trying to bury me. By 16:00, the district court had issued a temporary hold on the warning, pending full review. That bought me time. Hours, maybe. Because someone clearly wanted this case closed before anyone asked questions. But I had just started asking. If you think that's the end, wait until you see what Internal Affairs uncovered in the command log's audit trail. The cover-up runs deeper than anyone thought. This story is only heating up. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the moment when the truth hits the courtroom. Truth leaves a trail. Stay with me. The audit trail didn't lie. Machines rarely do. It's people who twist the truth around them. The command log's metadata had been accessed 3 times outside normal chain of custody protocol. 3 entries, 3 attempts to shift the story. But only one stood out. On the night after the arrest, while I was still writing my report, someone used an admin override to access the Bodycam server. At exactly 23:44, an external command was executed. Transcript overlay removed, audio scrubbed, file re-exported. I stared at the log lines on Morales' screen. A chill ran down my arms. The tech confirmed the override was issued from a remote desktop linked to a high-level district account. Not mine, not Morales's. And then he said a name. Detective Sheldon Vance. My direct supervisor, the same one who handed me the printed prosecutor report and said, "Brace." "You need to be careful," Morales said, eyes flicking to the open door. "If this leaks too soon, he'll bury it deeper." "But if we wait," I said, "he'll get it wiped completely." Morales sighed. "We'll take it up with district court oversight. Quietly, internally, no media, no noise." But I knew quietly wouldn't protect me. Not when someone was already rewriting my reality behind closed doors. By morning, I filed a formal dispute to the prosecutor's office, attaching both Bodycam versions plus the command log history. I flagged the altered timestamps, highlighted the moment my voice was stripped out. At 09:21, I got the auto-reply. "Your report has been received. Due to backlog, processing time may take 14-21 business days." I almost laughed. 14 days. In 14 days, the warning would be permanent. The case would be closed, my file tainted. I needed an ally, so I did something that went against every instinct in my badge-wearing bones. I reached out to a journalist. Her name was Kamira Lee, investigative beat. She'd broken the misfiled warrants story in Precinct 7 last year. I didn't give her much, just the redacted Bodycam clip and the altered prosecutor report. Her reply was immediate. "This isn't just tampering. This is coordinated suppression. Meet me off record." We met that afternoon in the parking structure under the civil courthouse. It smelled of oil and damp concrete, but at least it was quiet. She brought a tablet. I brought a flash drive. Kamira swiped through the files like a surgeon with a scalpel. "You timed the audio spike perfectly. The timestamp's there. Your command is unmistakable." She looked at me. "Someone wanted it gone for a reason." "What reason?" She didn't blink. "The suspect you arrested, Simons. He's the nephew of a retired deputy commissioner." That hit like a brick to the ribs. Simons, wild-eyed, knife drawer, resisting arrest, and connected. "You're telling me I'm under review because someone didn't want his record touched," Kamira finished. "That warning you got? It protects him from further inquiry, removes the use of force red flag from his file. And the court?" She held up her tablet. "They signed off on the warning removal without seeing the original footage." I couldn't breathe. I wasn't being punished for breaking rules. I was being erased to protect someone else's legacy. And unless I proved it fast, I'd be the scapegoat, buried in silence. Everything I knew pointed to one office deep inside the district court, the one that approved the redacted report, and the one where I was headed next. The courthouse hallway was colder than it should have been. Gray marble, humming fluorescence, the kind of chill that settled under your skin, like someone left a window open in a room full of secrets. I stood outside room 317, records oversight and evidence processing. That was where the warning removal request had been signed, where the prosecutor report had been officially stamped without my name on it, where someone pushed my career toward the edge without leaving fingerprints. I took a breath, knocked twice, then pushed the door open. The clerk inside was maybe late 20s, blazer too big for her shoulders, fake nails clacking over a keyboard. She looked up, smiled automatically. "Can I help you?" "Officer Carver," I said. "I need to review the access logs for evidence case NAQ Pumpafonda 38B. Her smile didn't move. "That request needs to go through departmental records or via a subpoena." I handed her a printout, a copy of the Bodycam discrepancy audit. Her eyes narrowed. The keyboard fell silent. "That's not supposed to be public." "It's not. Yet." She didn't argue. Instead, she turned her monitor, tapped a few keys, and frowned. "There's a hold on that file. Internal request. No external access." "From who?" She hesitated, then spun the monitor back. The screen read, "Locked. Override issued by court liaison. Vance, D." There it was again. Detective Sheldon Vance. Only this time, his name was inside the district court system. He hadn't just pushed for the warning. He bypassed chain of custody. He went directly into evidence processing, pulled the Bodycam file, re-exported it, and issued a version where my voice disappeared. A detective with court-level clearance, which meant he wasn't working alone. I left the building burning with quiet rage. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't afford a crack in the armor. Not now. Instead, I walked 3 blocks to the Legal Oversight Archive, a dull building with 0 windows and one miracle inside. A woman named Janice Holler. She used to be IA. Now she processed integrity flags for the Oversight Board. We'd crossed paths on a use of force training review. She respected rules, but more importantly, she hated liars. When I showed her the transcript mismatches, she didn't flinch. "What exactly do you want from me, Carver?" she asked, folding her arms. "Proof," I said. "That Vance used court access to erase a command, that the prosecutor report was signed based on a fraudulent version. I need the original audit from when the warning removal was logged." She held my stare for a long moment. Then she stood. 10 minutes later, she came back with a single printed page, a log export. Request ID 991SOC, timestamp 06 Omortan requesting user, Vance D flag, use of force warning removal, expedited processing justification. Footage shows voluntary compliance, officer escalated without clear command. It was a lie backed by a doctored file, and the court had approved it because they never saw the original version. Janice looked at me and said quietly, "You know this means he had help." "I know," I whispered, "but now I have help too." I walked out with the printout folded in my jacket. For the first time, I wasn't just defending myself, I was building a case, not against a suspect, against one of our own. I had everything I needed to trigger a formal inquiry. But someone was watching every move I made, and they were about to push back. The envelope was unmarked, slipped under my front door just after sunset. It wasn't big, no more than a half-inch thick, but the weight of it landed heavy in my hand. Manila folder, no return address, just my name. Carver in all caps, red pen. Inside, 6 printed pages. No letter, no note. The first page was a still from my Bodycam footage. Timestamp 2017-36, me in frame, arms up, calm. Next page, a screenshot of the command log. Stop recorded, entry number 8845, automated by voice-to-text system. Third page, authorization request for warning removal. Vance D marked expedited. A handwritten arrow pointed to the justification box, underlined twice. No command recorded. Officer escalated unprompted. They were using my own footage, without my voice, but it was the last page that made me stop breathing, a partial transcript of an internal chat thread between Vance D and an account tagged OPS Court Liaison. OPS Court Liaison. Simons is off limits. Handle it. Vance D. She's already making noise. We need this closed before IA pokes deeper. OPS Court Liaison. Then give them the version that makes her wrong. The ink was smudged, copied from a screen. But it was real. A cover-up. A conspiracy to erase my order, fabricate recklessness, and protect a man who lunged for a knife. The silence in my apartment rang like sirens. I didn't go to sleep. I went to the one place Vance wouldn't expect. The Legal Defense Union office, downtown, 9th floor. I buzzed the after-hours line. A secretary opened the door in slippers and a half-buttoned blouse, her eyes tired but alert. "Officer Carver," she said, "I heard what they did to your report." "I need counsel," I said, "now." 15 minutes later, a lawyer named Meeks showed up with coffee and a portable scanner. By Euro 120, we'd compiled a digital packet, Bodycam footage with unaltered timestamps, command log extract, prosecutor report discrepancy. the warning removal form, and that damning chat thread. Meeks scrolled through it all, shaking his head. This isn't about use of force. This is about preserving someone's clean sheet. They're laundering this guy through you. Simons, I muttered. He's just the nephew of... No, Meeks said. Simons is the nephew of the former deputy commissioner, but he's also tied to a development deal with 3 members of the city board. He gets a charge on his record, even one flagged and cleared later, and that deal dissolves. Millions gone. So they fake a clean arrest to keep their money? And your badge is the price. At 0340, we submitted a digital package to the District Court's Oversight Committee, flagged urgent, evidence tampering, misconduct, and perjury risk. We CC'd the Internal Affairs Ethics Division and the state prosecutor. At 0344, the auto-confirmation pinged. At 0346, I got a call from a blocked number. I let it ring, then the voicemail hit. It was Vance. You've made a mistake, Carver. You think IA's going to save you. They're not your friends. When this comes down, you'll wish you'd walked away. My hand trembled, but not from fear, from clarity. He was scared. And when people like him get scared, they get sloppy. I saved the voicemail. Then I saved it again, because tomorrow the court wouldn't just hear a complaint. They'd hear everything. He thought this was over. He forgot I had the one thing he couldn't edit, the truth, and now the body cam would speak louder than anyone in uniform. By the time the city woke up, I was already 3 steps ahead, and just 1 behind. At 0652, I got a text from Kamira, the journalist. Heads up, they're circling wagons. Someone leaked your IA trigger to the press desk. I knew what that meant. Damage control mode. They'd spin the narrative before I could finish untangling the facts. If they moved fast enough, I'd look like the one covering something up. But I had one advantage. I still had control over the evidence. I made a copy of the clean body cam file, printed the court logs with Vance's override, and included the chat thread between him and OPS court liaison. Every line, every timestamp, every redacted signature that hadn't been fully erased from the metadata. By 0740, I walked into the district court clerk's office with all of it, and this time I didn't wait for permission. I'm invoking Article 9.3, Evidence Protection Under Misconduct Suspicion, I said, laying down the folder. The woman at the counter blinked, startled. That's normally for criminal defense. I'm not filing it as a cop, I replied. I'm filing it as a citizen who's being framed. She took the folder, hands slightly trembling, scanned the pages, her eyes lingering on the warning removal request, and then the attached prosecutor report. Her gaze snapped to the part where my name was missing entirely, like I'd never touched the case. Wait, she said, they filed this under civil compliance? Exactly. That meant one thing. They'd tried to bury it inside a non-criminal division. No flags, no public record, no red tape. But I'd just ripped the tape off. At 10:13, I was called into a friendly conversation with the Oversight Committee. 2 men, 1 woman, suits too clean for their jobs. One tapped a pen rhythmically on a yellow legal pad. The woman didn't blink as she asked, Officer Carver, do you believe there was deliberate manipulation of court-handled evidence? I know there was, I said. I've logged every timestamp, cross-referenced body cam audio. I have the original and the redacted. And I have command log entries that were altered after I filed my report. The older man leaned in. Why would someone risk that kind of federal charge? I didn't blink. Because the man I arrested is family to someone powerful. And because someone like Vance still believes people like me won't fight back. They didn't confirm. They didn't deny. But they did ask for copies. I handed them the drive. At 13 nuonk, as I left the courthouse, my phone buzzed again. Blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. This time, It wasn't Vance, it was his wife. Her voice cracked halfway through. "You don't understand what's happening. He didn't do this alone. They're going to turn it on you. Please, just stop before it gets worse." That told me everything I needed. They were expecting me to stop. They were counting on fear to do the cleanup, but they forgot who I was. I became a cop to protect people, not protect lies. And if they wanted a clean version of the truth, they'd have to rip it from my hands. Because I wasn't giving it up. I took the voicemail, the envelope, the now-triggered IA case file, and submitted one final document into the district database. A formal motion requesting a temporary protection flag under whistleblower risk protocol. It was my only shield until the committee decided. Until then, I was still on the force, still on the radar. But now, so were they. Next up, I was summoned by someone higher than the department, and the first thing he asked wasn't about the footage. It was about who gave me the chat logs. The call came mid-morning. Not through my precinct, not from internal affairs, not even from my union. It came directly from the office of the Inspector General. "Officer Carver, this is Special Investigator Reese. We need to speak. Today." No explanation, no details. Just an address tucked away in a part of downtown I rarely visited unless dropping off evidence. When I arrived, I was escorted, not just buzzed in, escorted, through a steel door that hissed closed behind me like the airlock of a submarine. Reese was tall, dark suit, silver ring on his right pinky, and a gaze that didn't flinch, the kind of man who had already read everything twice before you stepped into the room. "Before we begin," he said, "you should know, this isn't about disciplinary review." I blinked. "It's not?" He shook his head. "It's about containment." He dropped a folder on the table, thicker than the one I'd submitted. Inside, printed chat logs, email fragments, badge access records for the district court's secured server. One photo, grainy but sharp enough, showed Vance at a backdoor entrance to a judicial annex 2 nights after my arrest. "Vance wasn't acting alone," Reese said. "He didn't have access to court-level override. That requires dual authentication. The second sign-in came from a judiciary staff member." My stomach clenched. "OPS court liaison?" I asked. Reese nodded. "Real name, Eleanor Vestry, legal advisor to the district chief judge." I leaned back. The air in the room thickened, so now it wasn't just internal sabotage. This was systemic, embedded, protected, and yet the man across from me didn't seem shaken, just focused. "We've been building this case for 6 months," he said. "What you filed last week accelerated everything." "You were watching Vance?" I asked. "No," he said flatly. "We were watching Simons." Of course it all came back to him. The wild-eyed man with the ripped shirt and blood down his collar. The one who lunged for a knife. The one they tried to make my fault. Simons wasn't just a well-connected suspect. He was a key to something bigger. "He's been used to move money through shell real estate," Reese continued. "High-profile deals masked under clean arrest records and low-risk classification. One flag, one use-of-force incident, and the paper trail starts falling apart." "And I was that flag," I said. He nodded, then he leaned forward, voice low. "Officer Carver, we need to know who gave you the internal chat thread." That stopped me. I hadn't mentioned the source, not even in my union filings. "You already have it," I said. "Why does it matter?" "Because," he said, "someone inside court systems is leaking. That puts our entire case at risk. If they panic, they'll burn the trail." I hesitated. Kamira's face flashed in my mind, serious, sharp, determined. She had trusted me, and I wasn't about to throw her under the bus. "I found the logs in a printed packet," I lied. "Dropped at my door. Anonymous." Reese studied me for a long beat. He knew I wasn't telling him everything, but he also knew I had reason. "You're either protecting a journalist," he said finally, "or a mole inside judiciary." I didn't answer, but the silence said enough. When I left the office, I wasn't escorted, but I was followed, not subtly either. The black car 2 lengths back, same make, same driver profile. Professional eyes. My phone buzzed. "Kamira." "Did you tell them?" I replied. "I didn't have to." She sent back one word. "Careful." And then another. "They're not just protecting Simons. They're protecting everyone who signed that prosecutor report." I stopped cold on the sidewalk because I had focused so hard on Vance. I hadn't noticed who else signed it, and one of those names was now running for city judge. They buried my command to protect a man. But now, it looked like they were burying a department to protect a campaign. When they summoned me back to City Hall, I expected another hearing. What I didn't expect was him, Councilman Ferris, the man who once shook my hand at the department fundraiser 2 years ago, smiling like he knew how to wear a badge better than I ever could. The one now plastered across campaign billboards promising restoration through accountability. He sat at the far end of a long table, surrounded by aides who looked like they'd been briefed to blink only when spoken to. I stood opposite, folder in hand, voice tight. "You wanted to see me?" He gestured at the seat across from him. "Just a conversation, Officer Carver, off record, for clarity." That word again, clarity. It always meant someone was about to muddy the water. He folded his hands. "You've been active, drawing attention to a procedural matter that should have been resolved internally." "Someone erased a command from the Bodycam footage," I said flatly. "That's not a procedural matter. That's falsification." He sighed, theatrical and slow, like a disappointed father. "Do you know how many reports come across the prosecutor's desk each month? Hundreds, thousands. Sometimes things slip through." I slid the prosecutor report across the table. "Like this one," I said. "The one where my name was removed. The one that said no verbal command was given, even though the Bodycam timestamp proves otherwise." Ferris didn't touch the file. He didn't need to, because his aide to the left, a thin man with horn-rimmed glasses, pulled out an identical copy and opened it to the same page. "We're aware of the irregularity," the aide said calmly, "but the issue has been internally resolved." "Internally?" I echoed. "You mean the warning removal was upheld despite tampered evidence, a redacted command log, and a fabricated export?" The aide blinked once. "The case has been closed under administrative discretion." That was it. That was the game. Ferris didn't need to yell. He didn't threaten. He just sat there and let the machine speak for him. "Why protect him?" I asked. "Why cover for Vance? For Simons?" Ferris finally leaned forward. "Because the city can't afford a scandal right now, not before the budget vote, not before elections, and not because of a 3-second audio glitch on a volatile arrest." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because rage had nowhere else to go. "This isn't about 3 seconds," I said. "This is about a system that punishes the wrong people because it's easier than admitting it failed." Ferris studied me. He didn't blink. "Have you ever considered," he said slowly, "what it would cost this department if your version went public? If a city prosecutor, a judicial liaison, and a decorated detective were accused publicly of coordinated misconduct?" I didn't answer. I didn't have to. He already knew I had. He straightened his tie. "We're offering a clean close, no mark on your record, no disciplinary action. You're transferred to training division, quietly. You keep your pension. You teach cadets. You write use of force policy. You bury me. We give you peace." I stood. Keep your peace, I said. I'll take the truth. Outside, the sky had that sickly white-gray sheen right before a storm breaks. My phone buzzed again, a number I didn't know. Carver speaking? A quiet pause, then a woman's voice. You don't know me, but I used to clerk for vestry. I read your report. I think I can help. My pulse spiked. What do you have? I was on the correspondence chain when the warning removal was filed. I saw who signed it first, and I saved the draft before it was rewritten. She paused. It has everything. I swallowed hard. Where can we meet? They gave me one last chance to walk away. Instead, I walked toward the only thing they feared, the original version of the truth. We met in a library, not a digital one, a real, dusty, marble-floored sanctuary, wedged between two courthouses like it had been forgotten by time. The woman, maybe 35, trench coat, no makeup, hair pulled back so tight it made her look sharper than she was comfortable being, sat in the law reference section behind a pillar. Her name was Eliza. She didn't offer her last name. You said you have the draft, I whispered as I slid into the seat across from her. She nodded once and slid a thin flash drive across the wood between us. No words, just movement. I hesitated. What's on it? The first version of the warning removal request. The original justification line, with the audio flag still listed, your voice, the timestamp, your name. My chest tightened. You were a clerk? I typed the initial submission into the judicial approval database. Vestry changed it hours later. Changed it? She replaced the text, re-exported the prosecutor report, removed the use of force command entry, then ran it through a clearance filter so only the final version hit the court docket. Eliza looked around, then back at me. I knew it was wrong, but the moment I asked, she reassigned me. My badge was deactivated within 48 hours. Did you keep a copy? She nodded toward the flash drive. 2, actually. That one's yours. The other's going to someone who owes me a favor. Back in my apartment, I plugged in the drive like I was defusing a bomb. My laptop screen blinked once, then loaded a single folder. Override, backup, raw, HTML, export. Inside it, the draft, untouched, metadata intact. I opened the file and saw it. Case ID 1438B, subject, Simons, Evan D. request. Type, use of force warning removal. Submitted by Vestry, Eleanor, court liaison. Justification, subject failed to comply with verbal stop command at timestamp 20/17/39 as recorded in Officer Carver's Bodycam footage. Due to noncompliance and immediate risk, officer initiated minimum necessary force. It was all there. The truth, the audio flag, the timestamp, my name. The version I'd been told didn't exist. And there, in red, a line labeled Edit History Detected, Previous Justification Replaced, Signature Re-imported. They didn't even scrub the logs properly. The command log was intact in the draft marked Entry, 8845, same as my original report. All of it had been removed after it cleared initial legal review. They'd cleared it once, then changed it, which meant one terrifying thing. The district court had already seen the real version, and had chosen to bury it anyway. I didn't go to internal affairs this time. I went straight to Chimera. We met in a car parked behind a gas station off 3rd and Valley. She brought her recorder. I brought the flash drive. She didn't ask questions this time, just listened. Then, for the first time in weeks, she smiled. A paper trail, she said. A digital, unedited, time-stamped, federally admissible trail. You realize what this means? I nodded. It means the narrative doesn't belong to them anymore. Chimera leaned back, fingers already typing. I'll give them 24 hours for comment, no more. This goes live with or without their response. At 10:04 the next morning, the article dropped. Silenced command, Bodycam redaction and the quiet collapse of oversight. Subhead: Court liaison, senior detective named in falsified report cover-up. Whistleblower confirms transcript manipulation to protect powerful family. Within 2 hours, my precinct was on lockdown. Within 4, Vance was placed on unpaid leave. Within 6, a full investigation into district court report protocols was announced. By sunset, the warning removal had been reversed. And my record, clean, not erased, restored, because it was never dirty to begin with. I didn't get a ceremony, no speech, no chief's handshake. But I did get something else. A new badge, a quiet transfer to Evidence Integrity Division. No more chasing suspects, just chasing the truth. Sometimes that's louder than sirens. Sometimes it's quieter than silence. But it always shows up in the timestamp. It's strange how quiet truth feels when it finally lands. Not a bang, not a confession screamed in a courtroom, not an officer dragged out in cuffs like some crime drama. No. The truth arrived in the form of a scanned memo emailed to me from District Court Oversight. Subject line: Final review. Officer Carver, use of force case, 1438B. I opened it in the corner of my desk, where the overhead light buzzed and the window stayed cracked just enough to let in December. Based on newly submitted and authenticated materials, including unaltered body cam footage, verified command log timestamps, and original prosecutor report drafts, the committee finds that Officer Carver acted within departmental and legal protocol. No breach of conduct occurred. The warning issued on 11/06 is hereby rescinded and sealed. Reinstatement of record status completed. No apology. But I didn't need one. The truth didn't shout. It stood. Word got around fast. Not official, not public, not yet. But people hear things, and silence breaks in small, unexpected places. A rookie from patrol unit left a post-it on my locker. Saw the article. Damn right you stood up. A veteran I hadn't spoken to in months dropped a coffee on my desk without a word. Even Morales, always the clipboard, always the clipped sentences, looked at me across the hallway with a rare, quiet nod. Respect, recognition, in this job, that's currency. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel erased. I felt seen. Vance? He lawyered up. Last I heard, they pulled his clearance, froze his pension pending review, and launched an audit into every warning removal he ever signed. Kamira told me off the record that the internal leak triggered a second wave. The court liaison office would undergo full restructuring, and the prosecutor who signed the altered report had quietly stepped down. The city wasn't burning, but the shadows that used to feel untouchable, they'd shifted, even if only by an inch. The body cam footage, still lives on a drive in my new office at the Evidence Integrity Division. I keep a frame from it on my desk. It's not the part where I yell, "Stop!" Not the takedown, not the timestamp, just the freeze frame of me, standing in the doorway, arms open, voice calm. That's the moment they tried to cut. That's the moment that mattered. Because it wasn't just about a command. It was about not letting someone else rewrite who I was. They gave me a new assignment, reviewing misconduct claims, logging discrepancies in chain of custody protocols, flagging altered timestamps before they vanish into case files. Not glamorous, but honest. Every time I open a log, I remember how close I came to being erased, how easily systems bend under pressure, until someone puts weight on the other side. Sometimes justice doesn't roar. Sometimes it hums quietly through a server, a backup, a microsecond of preserved data. And when it does, you make damn sure it doesn't get silenced again.